Hi guys, this is Vanajakshi, pursuing my education at Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering and wearing the SN 1V 21 CS 184. I am here today explaining about the topic human heart in the subject biology for engineers. Human heart. What is human heart? A heart is a fish-sized organ that pumps blood throughout our body. It's a primary organ of our circulatory system. A heart contains four main sectors, that is chambers made up of muscles and powered by electrical impulses. Our brain and nervous system direct our heart function. Cardiac wall. Cardiac wall is also known as a heart wall. The heart wall is divided into three layers: epicardium, myocardium and endocardium. Epicardium, the outer protective layer of a heart, you can see in the diagram shown there. Myocardium, muscular middle layer wall of heart. Endocardium, the inner layer of the heart. Inner view of a human body, you can see lungs, sternum, heart, left ventricle, right ventricle, stomach, diaphragm, liver and a colon. Layers of pericardium and the heart walls. Here is a diagram of the pericardium heart walls. Cardiac chambers, also known as the heart chambers. The heart is divided by sternum into two halves and the half are in turn divided into four chambers. The upper chamber are called left and right atria and the lower chambers are called left and right ventricles. The left ventricles is the largest and strongest chamber in the heart. The left ventricle's chamber walls are about a half-inch thick, but they have enough force to pump blood through the aortic wall into our body. Systole and diastole. You can observe a difference between tricuspid wall and a mitral wall in both the systole and diastole as shown in the diagram here. Cardiac conduction. There are SI node, AV node, RA right atrium, RV right ventricle, LA is a left atrium, LV is a left ventricle, SI node is a sinoatrial node, AV is a atrioventricular node. Cardiac conduction. The impulses are then sent down to atrioventricular bundle to the left and right ventricles. At the base of heart, the atrioventricular bundles start to divide further into Purkinje fibers. When the impulses reach these fibers, they trigger and the muscle fibers in the ventricle are to contract. The SI node sends electrical impulse at a certain rate, but the heart rate may still change depending on a physical demand, stress or hormonal factors. Cardiac cycle, that is nothing but a heartbeat. The cardiac cycle is a sequence of events that occur when the heart beats. There are two phases in cardiac cycle, diastole phase and systole phase. In the diastole phase, the right and left atria fills the blood. As the blood collects the upper chamber, the heart's pacemaker sends out an electrical signal that causes atria to contract. This contraction pushes blood through the tricuspid wall and the mitral walls into the resting lower chambers, the right and left ventricles. In a systole phase, the second part of a pumping phase begins when the ventricles are full of blood. The electrical signal from a SI node travel along a pathway of cells to the ventricles, causing them to contract. This is a systole. As the tricuspid wall and the mitral walls shut tight to prevent back the overflow of blood, the pulmonary and aortic walls are pushed open. When a blood is pushed from a right ventricle into lungs to pick up oxygen, oxygen-rich blood flows from the left ventricles to the heart and other parts of the body. Cardiac cycle, that is nothing but a heartbeat. After blood moves into pulmonary artery and the aorta, the ventricles relax and the pulmonary and aortic walls close. The lower pressure in the ventricles causes the tricuspid and the mitral walls to open and the cycle begins again. The human normally beats about 60 to 80 times a minute when you are at rest. The circulatory system. The heart works as a pump that pushes blood to the organs, tissues and a cell of body. Blood delivers oxygen and nutrients to every cell and removes a carbon dioxide and waste products made by these cells. Blood is carried from our heart to the rest of our body through the complex network of arteries and capillaries. Blood is returned to our heart through the venules and veins. Pulmonary circulation. The pulmonary circulation is a portion of cardiovascular system which transports oxygen depleted blood away from the heart to lungs and returns oxygenated blood back to the heart. Oxygen depleted blood from the vena cava enters the right atrium of a heart and flows through the tricuspid wall into the right ventricle, from which it is pumped through the pulmonary semilunar wall into the pulmonary arteries which go through the lungs. Pulmonary veins return now oxygen-rich blood to the heart where it enters the left atrium before flowing through the main wall into the left ventricle. Then oxygen-rich blood from the ventricle is pumped out to the aorta and on the rest of the body. Systemic circulation. Systemic circulation is a portion of cardiovascular system which transports oxygenated blood away from a heart to the rest of the body and then returns oxygen depleted blood back to the heart. In humans, the blood is pumped from a strong left ventricle of a heart through the arteries to peripheral tissues and returns to the right atrium of a heart to the veins. Arterial blood carries oxygen and venous blood carries carbon dioxide. However, one expectation includes pulmonary arteries which contains the most deoxygenated blood in the body while the pulmonary veins contains oxygenated blood. In this slide, you can see the main parts of aortic vessels. You can see the pulmonary artery, inferior vena cava, superior vena cava and all the other important parts here. Coronary circulation. The heart muscle, like every other organ or tissue in our body, needs oxygen-rich blood to survive. Blood is supplied to the heart by its own vascular system called coronary circulation. The aorta, the main part of the blood supplier, branches off into the main coronary vessels. It is divided into two main categories. These coronary arteries branch off into smaller arteries which supply oxy-rich blood to the entire heart muscle. The right coronary artery supplies blood mainly to the right side of the heart. The left coronary artery supplies blood to the left of the heart. Coronary arteries. These are the main parts of a coronary artery. Aorta, right coronary artery, left coronary artery, circumflex artery, left anterior descending artery. What is aorta? Aorta is the main largest artery in a human body, originated from the left ventricle of the heart, branching upwards immediately after and extending down to the abdomen, where it splits at the aortic bifurcation of the two smaller arteries. The aorta distributes oxygenated blood to all parts of the body through the systemic nerve. The aorta supplies all the systemic circulation, which means that the entire body except for the respiratory zone of the lungs receives its blood from the aorta. Broadly speaking, branches from the ascending aorta supplies the heart, branches from the aortic arch supplies to the head, neck and the arm. Branches from a descending aorta supplies to the chest, excluding the heart and the respiratory zone of the lungs. The branches from the abdominal aorta supply to the abdomen and the legs are commonly circulated to the all parts of the body. These are all the important parts of the heart, how it pumps and how the heart works. By this I conclude. Thank you all and all.